We dive into the dark where truth collides.
Forensic minds unravel the twisted thread. True crime tales from the living and the dead.
Why did they do it? To help, for love, in anger or insane? Who will remember them? Who is to blame? The victims deserve justice. The guilty should be until the end of time. Echoes of the past in every crime.
All right, everybody. I hope that you are all doing very, very well. I'm Jules Thought, and today is January the 24th, 2026, otherwise known as the Great American Freeze Out. 43 million human beings are cold. Wrap your mind around that. That is a whole lot of cold. You know what I mean? And I don't know about you, but when I get cold, I get a little grumpy. Okay. I also move slow because I'm old. Okay. Sissel, Marlin, welcome. It's good to see you. Oh, good afternoon from Spain. So very nice to have you here, Sissel. Zelda, how are you? AccuWeather has a link about snow in Pensacola. Good gracious. Pensacola is covered in snow. Are we sure about that? That does not fit with the European model. Okay. It very well could be covered in snow. I don't know. I haven't been checking on Pensacola. I've been checking on Galveston, Texas. And so far, we are so good. So we're going to move forward. There are going to be 43 million people who are cold and without power, but hopefully they have bread and milk because that's all you need to survive, right? So because we're not going to have our normal like daily shows that we all watch, I thought, okay, well, I'm just sitting here hanging out doing nothing. I might as well go live. So here I am. Good morning from a very chilly Massachusetts. You know what, Daria? I think it's going to get colder for you guys before it gets warmer. I think the cold has a bead on you and it's coming your way. The radar looks like we had a blizzard, but it is simply dusting and sleeting. Yeah, when you get sleet and freezing rain, then you're out of your snow, right? The snow can't do what it does. So I think sleet has robbed some people. Other people are getting 2 feet of snow when yesterday they believed they were going to get ice. So it's all a mess. It's simply a mess. The only thing you can count on is what's happening right there in the room in which you sit. All right. So make sure you got a fluffy, warm blanket, a fluffy, warm fur baby if you got one, and something nice and warm to drink. And then you'll be good. All right. It's 12 with real feel of 2 here in Virginia. Good gracious, Elizabeth. You guys are in for a snowmageddon, I think. So Chicago is covered in snow. Let's see. Chicago's covered in snow, but we've been covered in snow. That is because of your lake effect snow, right, Khalik? I knew we would be in for this winter. It's been too mild. All right, let's see who else we have here. Dog's mom, good to see you. And Donna Burns. Welcome, Donna Burns, my friend, professor of law. Welcome, professor. Diane, good morning. I hope that you're warm, Diane, and I hope you get a lot of snow and no ice at all. Team Doocy Doo 222, welcome. Gina quilted it. We're also the bitchin', quilting, pizza eating best community on YouTube, aren't we, Jenny? That's right. Ain't no shame in quilting and eating pizza, right, Lauren? Wowin. Marissa Monroe, Jules, are you a psychologist? They say that I am. That's the rumor that goes around. All right. Sigma Shadow 6. I am in Southeast Florida. Business as usual here until Monday when temperatures will drop. We are fortunate. My parents are in the Midwest and sisters in the Northeast. Not so lucky. Well, Sigma Shadow 6, you and I are each sitting pretty. You are in Southeast Florida. I am in Southeast Texas, looking across the big, beautiful ocean. We are doing fine, aren't we? Those warm Gulf breezes, they do their job during the winter for sure. They don't call us the Windy City for nothing. Wind chill is no joke. I don't think people realize how massive the Great Lakes truly are. Yeah, when you're looking at Lake Michigan, it's like an ocean, right? Like perceptually, it's enormous. Exactly, Kylie. Yeah. Quilting with love and eating pizza with joy. There you go. I'm telling you, living your very best life, Jenny. Absolutely. And the fact that this heifer on the screen had the gall to attack quilting, pizza eating communities like the great Lori Hellis, shame on her, right? Quilters know how to live their best life, and that's all that matters. Okay, people, we are, let's see, we are going to continue. My mom and dad are in Michigan, where it is currently 1 degree with no wind chill. Oh, Sigma, that sounds like misery. I posted the AccuWeather link above. Hope that's okay. Oh, sure, Zelta. Absolutely. It's on my list of things I would love to learn how to crochet this year. Crocheting is nice. It's fun. Yep. Very, very relaxing. All right, guys. So let's go ahead. Okay, I'm loaded up here. Let's go ahead and move on with Grayson's choice. Remember, we had Sophie's choice. Now we have Grayson's choice. This is the continuation of our review of the Hidden True Crime Patreon, where Dr. Matthias seems to have developed dementia, or he's on heavy doses of benzodiazepine, so his memory is shot, or he has a head injury, or he just doesn't care about his APA Code of Ethics, the principles and standards housed within. He blows right through that ethics code like it ain't nothing. And he is the big takeaway from this. The big takeaway from this is that he is a professional psychologist with a YouTube channel that is using his credentials to do true crime in a new and unique way through the eyes of a forensic psychologist, i.e., he is using his credentials as a professional psychologist to further his YouTube grift. And he has employed a young woman named Grayson, and they proceed to drink alcohol. Apparently, it sounds like it, in my opinion. They proceed to get rather loose, like, how loose is your goose? How loose is your goose? How funky is your chicken? Well, their chickens got pretty damn funky. All right. And he begins to question her about her family members' diagnoses, their violent outbursts. Grayson is literally sounds intoxicated and is speaking on her 18-year-old brother, her father, her mother, and those things that most of us would prefer to be private in our own families, right? Or our own homes. Well, Grayson has decided that this is great content for a Patreon Live. And Dr. Matthias couldn't agree more.
Another important study that's fairly recent. This is from 2018.
Now, why
This
am
is
I
from the
not
journal
hearing that?
Aggression and Violent Behavior. The title of this article is
Question. Could you guys hear that? Okay, let me start over and reshare this. Share the screen. Weird Grayson story. There we go. Let me try one more time, see if I can hear it. Do you guys hear them? If you can hear it, put a 1. You guys hear? Okay, so I've got a connection that is loose. Let me see if this will work. I don't know if this is going to work for me, but let me double check this here. Hold on. Oh, this makes me so mad. I definitely have some kind of loose.
that the stress levels have in the family and in the home, and this has to do with routine.
Okay, if you can hear me, put a 1. And if you okay, first let's do that. If you can hear me, put a 1 because I disconnected my headphones. Okay, thank you, random lady. Okay, now I'm going to play the video. If you can hear the video, I want you to put a 3. If you can hear the video.
Right, if you disrupt the routine, the child becomes more aroused, right, and agitated, and if the child can't self-soothe, there's more probability that child's going to act.
Do you hear the video? Ah,
And so,
great, Dee Dee. Thank you.
This is the connection.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so sorry about that. I obviously my headphones have a short in them. That's the only explanation for me not being able to hear because that's why I was late is I was making sure that everything was connected properly. It's not clear. It's low. Let me take a look at this. Okay. All right, let's try this.
When you disrupt that restricted, repetitive pattern behavior, I think the more potential problems you're going to have. And by the way, there's a interesting.
All right, if that one is good, put a 4. Shoot. Let me check one more setting. Okay, that sounds really good. You guys ought to be able to hear that now. Cannot hardly stand listening to him. Okay, so we're good now. Okay, awesome. Very good. Okay, so let me go back. I'm gonna go backwards to my setting that I was ready.
Or even conduct disorder at some point. So
All right, can you hear me now? We had a great sound that was clear, but only for a moment. Okay, what about now? Do you hear me? If you hear me, put a 1. Okay, good. All right, now then. So we're good with my sound. And the reason I was gone is because I had to go back to my mixer board and reset everything up because I had to disconnect the silly headphones. Look, people make a living being, sound people, and that's not what I am. I'm just a mom, wife, psychologist. Okay, now listen and see if you can hear John.
yeah, I mean, again, like, yes, could the disruption of his routine matter? Yeah, because
Thank
it
you,
depends
KJ.
too what level he
We don't
is
know.
Right.
on the spectrum. But disrupting a routine, I mean, one of the
Awesome.
at the higher levels of autism on the spectrum,
See,
when you disrupt that restricted,
she can be taught. All right. I'm just slow right now. One day I'll be so good. I'll just be able to jump around and make change all these settings. But right now I have to think my way through it. So I apologize. Okay. So let's go ahead and start getting into this now. And I want to go back to my original setting. All right. So here we go.
And so they were kind of like mixing everything, trying to figure out what to do. And I also want to point out, as he's gotten older, the violence has decreased significantly. Like a lot significantly. But I think
now this bothered me a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Because in the beginning, when they first start this conversation, Grayson, they're kind of giving you the impression that this discussion is happening because Grayson has questions she needs answered. That she's worried about this little boy that shot and killed his dad. That she sees parallels to her own brother. And then she's asking these questions of John. This bothered me because she sounds apologetic, not apologetic. She sounds, like she's apologizing for her brother, like she's trying to diminish what she just described her brother as, right? It sounds like she realizes that it sounds bad and she doesn't want people to think badly of her brother, her 18-year-old brother.
I want to point out, as he's gotten older, the violence has decreased significantly.
I just want to point out, as he's gotten older, the violence has decreased like a lot. Okay, wait a minute, Grayson. Violence, that word, the word violent, that is a very specific word, Grayson. It's not the same thing as irritable. It's not the same thing as frustrated. Hell, you want to know something, Grayson? It's not even the same word as angry. No. The word violent is meant to throw up a red flag and sound the alarm. If one says that something or someone is violent, it's a warning. If I say to you guys, so I've gotten really into watching this Kevin Spacey, not Spacey, Kevin, oh shoot, who's the Footloose guy? Kevin, not Spacey, Kevin, y'all know who I'm talking about. Anyway, he's got this great series. It's called The Following. It's got Hugh Jackman in it. It's about a serial killer. It's awesome. It is also extremely graphic with gore and violence. So if I'm telling someone, like my brother, I was telling my brother about how good it is and how I've gotten addicted to it. And I said to him, be careful though, you may not like it. It is very violent, right? Like some people don't like the blood and gore. That means something, Grayson. And you're using the word violent, talking about your brother over and over and over and over. Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. And he got sent off to a wilderness camp. And you guys had called the police. You have given this message to the entire world, Grayson, that your brother is dangerous and might kill his dad. But now, halfway in, now you're saying, oh. I just like to point out he's not as violent as he used to be. Is that the same thing as saying he is no longer violent? Are you now saying he's safe? Are you saying that he's no longer attacking people and hurting people? Because that's not what it sounds like. And again, John Matthias, aren't you the credentialed adult in the room? Aren't you the employer of this young woman? Doesn't her livelihood, her ability to pay her rent, to pay her car note, doesn't all of that rest on your shoulders ultimately? And you are egging her on. You are enticing her to share what is HIPAA protected information. She, John, doesn't have the ability to waive the privacy rights of her 18-year-old brother. That can only be done by the 18-year-old brother. Even the parents can't do that unless they're the legal guardians. So the question I have for the great and powerful John Matthias, did you get a release of information signed by this 18-year-old kid? Did you give the proper documents to Grayson and say, I need these returned? Your brother must sign these, not you, not your mom or dad. Your brother has to sign these before I can allow this conversation to happen on my YouTube channel, which I have made an extension of my practice. Did you do that, John? My guess is no. And I don't understand why you wouldn't. I don't know about didn't you say you're a Princeton psychologist? I would believe, it would be my belief that Princeton, if you got your PhD from Princeton, that would be an APA accredited program. And in any and every APA accredited program that I've ever been a part of, either as a student or a teacher or adjunct or whatever, it's all about informed consent. Even if I take on a new patient, we're going to do informed consent before there is any implication of a professional relationship at all. It protects me, but most importantly, it protects them. It protects the public at large. So don't you think you should have gotten that signed document? You know what the great and powerful Oz did instead? He had Grayson say, oh, don't worry, everybody. I talked to my mom and dad. I talked to my brother. They said I could talk about this. They said you could talk about it with John, that you could ask him questions in front of 300,000 people. I don't know, John. Feeling really worried about your cognitive status there, buddy. Or maybe you just don't give a damn. Maybe you're making so much money on the lucrative extension of your practice as a licensed psychologist that you don't care if you follow the principles and standards set forth in the ethics code or the laws of your state.
Significantly, significantly. But I think that's also just him. I always felt like maybe his mental age was like 6 years behind normal. Mm-hmm. So like even when I talk to him now, it's like if I was talking to a younger sibling.
That's great, Grayson. You guys just keep making my case for me. I don't even have to say anything. I'm sitting here saying, okay, the brother is 18 years old. You got to treat him like an adult. He is his own legal guardian. Sign your release of information, provide informed consent, make sure that he understands that when you talk about him and his protected health information, the most embarrassing moments of his past, that he knows that it's going to be to potentially 300,000 plus people on a Patreon that at any time could go public. meaning when he's 30 and he gets married and has children of his own, the kids can come along and hear about their violent father. That's super, Grayson. But it's even worse than that, isn't it? Because Grayson just said, well, I told my mom, I've always felt like he's about 6 years younger than his real age. Okay, Grayson, that makes him 12. So mentally, you are airing the dirty laundry and the private health information of someone who doesn't have the capacity to give consent. I am pretty surprised by this. And here's the other part of it. There's no going back, right? There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. Once it's out there, it's online, it's out there. And that's whether it's true or not, it's out there forever. So I question what it was about John that made him look at this entire circumstance, right? Looking at all the factors involved. Listen, you guys, he would have been trained to do this. If you're coming out of an APA accredited program, it doesn't matter what college you're at. And he did not graduate with a PhD from Princeton. He is no Princeton PhD, I promise. But it would have been an APA program, okay? And it is APA that is credentialing these individual programs. So they're all teaching pretty much in the same way. They're requiring the same type of knowledge. To your comprehensive finals are going to be very, very similar, no matter if you're at Tulane, if you're graduating from Tulane, or if you're graduating from UCLA or University of Pennsylvania, the #1 psychology school in the country. You're still the same. Your graduates are the same. They've been taught the same information. So this is a man who's been trained for years on the ethics code and philosophically how to manage some of these paradoxical situations and how to think your way through, how to use your ethics code or the laws of your state to make good decisions when you are practicing as a credentialed psychologist. He just seems to do none of it. It's like he's just saying, I'm a YouTuber. Yay. That's all. And that's fine, because I don't mind saying that's what I do. Okay. I have been so clear to everyone. This in no way is an extension of what I do for work. I don't. No. I am really careful to avoid the stories that might even remotely parallel the work that I actually do as a credentialed psychologist. In no way am I using my credentials for my YouTube content. I've been so clear about that. I don't fall back on the language, and all this. Now, this is different. This content is different because this is a colleague who has been warned so many times that he is playing fast and loose in a way that is a direct violation of our ethics code. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe instead of just saying, oh, I don't like them, I dislike them, they're doing bad things to people, they're hurting innocent people, unsuspecting people, John Matthias is behaving in a way that brings down the profession of psychology itself. It's undermining the public's confidence in psychologists. And so I said, okay, I'm going to depart for a little bit from just goofy jewels, right? Just goofy, I want to get on my YouTube channel and hang out with my friends. I'm going to be more specific and point out what is being violated. And this discussion about the brother, his medical diagnoses, his history of therapy, the defining him as violent on a public platform. I think this needs to be discussed. I think this needs to be talked about. I think this is appropriate. And to make sure that, you know, you guys have all the information that you need. This is the standard that is that is at the foundation of all of these ethics violations in this one video. The standard is the violation of the multiple relationships warning. Dual relationships create scenarios where exploitation will happen. And the reason that exploitation will occur is when a psychologist enters into a dual or multiple relationship, their objectivity is destroyed. So right now, the great and powerful Oz is hanging out with Grayson, pretending to be her friend in the pursuit of the almighty dollar. Right now, he's in grifter mode. Here, if he was not in YouTube grift mode, then what would happen is he would say, hey, Grayson, I don't think that this is appropriate commentary for a public platform, but why don't we turn off the camera, turn off the audio? Let's go ahead and have a conversation. And then if she starts talking specifics about her brother, that's when you say, you know what? I'm your employer. It is not appropriate for me to comment on your family situation. I have a great colleague. Here is their name and their phone number and their email address. I will reach out to them and let them know that you're going to be reaching out, that I gave to you their contact information. Please get in touch with them and direct your questions to them in a very private platform. But you are not protected if me as your employer are answering questions about your violent brother. Do you see my point? There are a lot of different problems in this video. There's lots of different levels of ethical violation, but at the heart of it, the big jump off of the plank is the violation of standard 3.05, the caution against dual relationships. Dual relationships are actually the number one reason that licensed psychologists lose their credentials. It's the number one reason. And it is fascinating that this man is doing it on a public platform for all the world to see. And I don't know what is at the heart of it. I don't know if it is because he's just making a lot of money with the YouTube channel and he no longer cares if he's credentialed. I don't know how that's going to work, though. How does he get to say we're a YouTube channel with a professional licensed psychologist if he loses credentials? He can't do that. Like, there's state laws against that. You can't impersonate a psychologist. So there's a lot wrong here. And I don't know if he just doesn't care, if he doesn't know what his ethics manual says, he doesn't understand what the limitations are to his credentials. I don't understand it, but I think there is a great deal of damage that is being done because he is so messy.
Not necessarily my older brother. Like, he'll call me to talk about a situation. I'm like, well, why don't you just do this? And, you know, so it's like, it's still like walking him through things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But that's
Oh, so now
interesting,
she's going to
that
comment on his
violence has
IQ.
decreased as he's gotten older.
And I also don't know that he ever did get like a conduct disorder diagnosis. Well, I mean, once you're 18, it's kind of, you're on your own in the system. Like, you know, my parents could only do so much.
Right.
So they couldn't like.
Okay, so right there we know that this young man is managing his own affairs. That he is not so incapacitated or disabled that his mom or dad are the professional guardian, the legal guardian. No, she's just admitted he is on his own. Once he turns 18, he gets his parents are no longer entitled to his protected health information. So she says, I don't know if he ever got a conduct disorder diagnosis because once you're 18, everything kind of goes dark. So my parents don't know. I'm going to take a guess here, young Grayson. Your brother has absolutely no idea that you guys got together and had this discussion on a YouTube video, on a Patreon platform. And the reason you put it behind Patreon is because you are inexperienced and you thought putting it behind Patreon wall that would hide it from him. Right, Grayson? Right, John? Doesn't hide it. Anybody can join the channel, Grayson, including your brother or your mom or your dad. It's incredible, really.
Force him to go to a doctor to get more diagnoses or, you know,
it's not there.
Medication or whatever they can encourage, but he does ultimately what he feels is best for himself, you know, and yeah.
So, you know, just to summarize kind of what this study I referenced, they basically say, I'll just quote this here, again, the comorbidities here are ADHD and conduct disorder. And again, conduct disorder is closely aligned with oppositional defiant. I mean,
So you know what he just said? It's a little confusing. So in order to give a conduct disorder, now I am not diagnosing, I am teaching, okay? I'm telling you what is in the DSM, what guides this particular diagnosis. I'm not talking about her brother. I wouldn't know her brother from Adam's house cat. I have no idea about the guy. In order to give a diagnosis of conduct disorder, there has to have been the ODD, see, I'm trying to stay away from this language. Conduct disorder diagnosis requires that there is a history of some kind of externalizing behavior, acting out the kinds of behaviors that would result in a diagnosis like oppositional defiant disorder in childhood first, right? It's establishing that there is a history of behavior, a long history of behavior, rather than one or two events, okay? Whereas like with bipolar, you can have one manic event and get the diagnosis, right? So with conduct disorder, it's different. You have to establish a long history of these antisocial, externalizing types of behaviors. Grayson says, I don't know if my brother ever got a diagnosis of conduct disorder. I don't know. But he had ODD. He was diagnosed ODD. John helps us out by saying, oh yeah, but he probably does have conduct disorder because ODD and conduct disorder are so closely aligned. Listen to him. He's saying, oh no, he probably does have conduct disorder. You jackass, John. John, you're a jackass. I'm sorry, you're Dr. Jackass.
I referenced, they basically say, I'll just quote this here, again, the comorbidities here are ADHD and conduct disorder. And again, conduct disorder is closely aligned with oppositional defiant. I mean, the biggest distinction.
You're such a jerk, John. You're such a jerk. She says, I don't know if my brother was ever diagnosed with conduct disorder. Why did you have to do that? You're talking about a very specific guy, her brother, someone that you guys know and didn't get assigned informed consent or release of information. Know what I mean? And you say, oh, don't worry. Yeah, he probably could be diagnosed with conduct disorder because conduct disorder and oppositional defiant disorder are so closely aligned. But you know what, John? There's plenty of kids that get ODD diagnoses of ODD that do not go on to fulfill the diagnostic requirements of conduct disorder. And they damn sure in adulthood don't go on and get a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. But you just blew right through that too, didn't you? Oh, no. We want to make this as ugly and salacious and nasty as we possibly can so we can get the views, so we can tell our members to purchase a higher level of Patreon. Do no harm, John. Question. Is it your opinion that this conversation with Grayson on a public platform has the potential to do great harm to at least her brother? I think a reasonable psychologist would answer not yes, but hell yes. And you violated federal law, John, when you violated his right to privacy. You guys violated this young man's right to privacy.
Is the conduct disorder involves more actual criminal, potentially more actual criminal behavior or criminal convictions. Okay. Whereas ODD is a little lesser in terms of requiring fewer run-ins with the law, for example, or fewer actual problematic behaviors. But they say, quote, in the absence of these comorbidities, individuals with autism were no more likely to have convictions for violent offending than the general population.
Okay.
So, I mean, so
what is this? What is this? Virtue signaling, John? You got so wrapped up in your goody two shoes. I'm gonna stand up in defense of all people on the spectrum, which is probably more than you realize, John. But you say I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to stand up and say, no way are people with autism, no way are they violent, not at all. But then you will turn around and you will diagnose Grayson's brother and he's not even there. You will engage in conversation about his level of violence. You will tell her, oh, well, conduct disorder is closely aligned to oppositional defiant disorder, as well as antisocial personality disorder. It's just so illogical. It's hard to believe that you were even thinking.
again, like making the distinction between autism as a neurologically based disorder and a personality disorder is really important because ODD becomes potentially and cognitive disorder become precursors to more personality based issues.
Right. So bringing it back to Clayton a little bit, I guess my question would be, so it wouldn't necessarily be the autism, right?
No.
I think there's probably, if he was adopted at 3, I mean, I don't want to speculate too much, but I would assume there's some attachment going on.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, clearly his parents from the outside looking in loved him very much and did everything they could, but
Yeah.
I'd assume it's probably some like attachment. And then like when you were talking about autism, your definition, you mentioned a change in routine. And it like made me think of how they said that they had stayed up till midnight to sing to him that night.
Yeah. Now,
And
Grayson,
so could that change of
the great
routine,
executive producer,
you know, like
now it's
let's
her
say that kid
turn
went to bed at 8.
to start diagnosing. Grayson, you don't know a damn thing about attachment. Nothing. Literally nothing. Attachment is a I'm incensed by this nonsense. I want to go for it. Grayson, Lauren, just because you guys hear a buzzword and you start using it, it doesn't make you look smart. It makes you look ever more foolish. What exactly what attachment issues are you seeing, Grayson? Like what are you seeing? You seeing insecure attachment, secure attachment? What's the problems that you're noticing? Nothing. You don't know anything. Nothing. You're just saying, "Oh, I assume it's the parents' fault." Shut up. You don't understand what these parents go through. Did in these circumstances where there is a person, a kid who is having some very real neurological problems, and the result is behaviors that we see that are consistent with oppositional defiant disorder, conduct disorder, ADHD, even perhaps not so much autism. You've never seen parents more bereft, overwhelmed, in the deepest levels of grief because they want to help their child, they love their child, and they see this child who 1 minute is just as precious and sweet and angelic as they can be, and the next minute it's as if they're being driven by a motor and they're completely out of control of their own body. And then when it passes, then the child is sobbing. These are not attachment issues. There's a neurological issue that and nobody in the family is free of it. Even the little child who is acting out is in deep grief after the episode has passed. So you guys are, man, you're creating so many. John, this is not okay. Like, this is so not okay.
Acting or unstable parenting styles affect.
Why are you going to blame the parents, right? As if these parents are not already carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, as if these parents are not already fighting tooth and nail to figure out what can be done. Most of these parents are blaming themselves, and yet they never miss an appointment. They do any of the interventions that are taught, they do them faithfully. Like, these parents are hungry for solutions. They will do anything that you ask of them as a professional psychologist. let's just blame them because that sounds good, and laugh about it when you do blame them, John. That's super professional, right? Let's act like a licensed psychologist and laugh at these parents who are so haunted and troubled by what their poor child is experiencing. The man literally laughs.
Permissive and authoritarian parenting styles, highly critical, disapproving, rejecting, or unstable parenting styles, a family history.
Why are we laughing? You know what I've heard, John? I've heard that, the thing that makes a joke funny is that there's a little bit of truth in it. In order for a joke to be funny, there has to be an element of truth, correct? So why is it, John, that you laugh? Like literally, you literally laugh when you say unstable parenting. Do you know an unstable parent, John? Is there an unstable parent living in your house? Is that why it was funny? Because talking to children that have unstable parents, they don't think it's funny. And the parent themselves usually has enough insight to recognize that when they are overwhelmed, they are not good for their child. And so that parent doesn't feel good about it. But you think it's funny when there's an unstable parent. Who's the unstable parent in your life, John? I mean, if we're going to have these kinds of discussions where privacy isn't necessary nor desired, what if I was in this conversation with you guys and I said, "Oh, John, you laughed at that. There must be an element of truth to that." What's the unstable parent that you know? Is it your own parent, or is it maybe the parent of your child? Does your child have an unstable parent? I mean, since we're all sharing.
Mental health problems, for example, depression and or psychosis, parental divorce, physical or sexual abuse, and criminality are all factors that increase the violence risk for autism spectrum. In addition to, so that's the family environment, right? Outside of the family, for example, in school or in the community, the following elements would also increase autism risk because you're not helping the child self-regulate, right? Those would include social rejection, victimization, including especially bullying.
Notice what this professional psychologist said. The parents are not helping the child self-regulate. Yeah, there's an enormous assumption there, John. One that I'm a little surprised that a licensed psychologist would be making, actually. Are you making the assumption that the child can self-regulate? Isn't that the nature of a disorder that has neurological underpinnings, is that these emotions and these behaviors may not be within the child's control for limited periods of time? So why are we still blaming parents, John?
Yep.
Holding a grudge and seeking revenge may also play important contributory roles and precipitate criminal offending in individuals with autism spectrum disorder. So a child, it's not hard to imagine, for example, that a child that's rejected by his or her peers and a child that's bullied is going to experience more stress, and they're going to have trouble regulating that. They're going to experience dysregulation, and they won't be able to self-soothe. And so aggression becomes more probable in those circumstances.
Which in general, I think they're just at a higher risk for rejection and bullying if they are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
simply because they're seen as different,
They're different.
or they're seen as
And
not.
listen to the great and brilliant Lauren Matthias. They're different. I'll repeat what you say. What's the next word you're going to say? So I'm prepared to repeat it. Attachment, rejection. Yes. Yes. Attachment. Right? This is so unproductive. There is no educational value in this conversation they're having. It is completely inaccurate information. None of what they're saying would be something that a licensed psychologist would say to educate the parents of one of these children. This has exactly zero educational value to a reasonable psychologist. It's dehumanizing language. Thank you so much, Jesse. Absolutely. Hey, Neva, welcome. I'm glad you found us. Thank you so much. This is, now let me interject some accurate information here, okay? So the conversation that they're having is that a child who is on the spectrum is at an increased risk of stress because of rejection by their peers, that they would be the focus of bullying because other kids would see them as, I believe the word they said was weird. Is that the word they used? Did they say weird? I think that's what they said, which blew my top off. Actually, John, let me help you here, okay, by educating these two young women. There may have been a period of time when people that were on the spectrum, depending on the extent of their symptoms, there may have been a time where other kids might have not understood them, might have been hesitant to be friendly to them, and yes, may have made fun of them or bullied them because they would just view them as unusual. Okay. However, starting decades ago, we began mainstreaming these kids with the regular classroom and educating students about what autism is or what ADHD is, and how people that are on the spectrum or people that are ADHD, how they may act out in a way that is not the way they act out, and it's not through a fault of their own. That we accept one another, we tolerate one another because we're different, because differences make us interesting. That we should help one another, that we should accept each other, that we should love one another. And now what you see in the schools, John, if you took the time to educate yourself, you would see that kids that are on the spectrum are treated incredibly well by their peers, and they are in fact protected by their classmates. I have seen many kids, they have a friend who is on the spectrum. They begin to notice that there might be a meltdown coming, that their friend is beginning to get overwhelmed. And the teacher would say, John, would you mind walking David to Ms. Smith, who is the safe teacher, where there's a quiet room. So David can go into the quiet room. He can do his self-soothing. He can use his skills to calm himself and get grounded. And once he feels good and feels in control, then he can re-enter the classroom, and none of the kids care. Everybody's happy to see him coming back into class. So if these people, Grayson and Lauren, if they understood that, they wouldn't be saying, oh, well, people would see them as weird and they're going to be bullied. No, actually, people are better than that. And all that we have to do with kids is teach them why someone is different. That's all they want to know. When they stare, they're just curious why that person is different. They don't want to be mean. So we educate them. when we have children, excuse me, when we have children that have, let's say, catastrophic burns over 60, 70% of their body, right? So there's lots of scarring, and that can appear very frightening to a 3rd grade class or a 5th grade class. And when these kids are ready to go back into the community, to go back into school, then we go to the schools and we take like people that have had burns. They wear they wear certain devices that help their scars, the medical interventions that are being done. They have to put pressure on it for long periods of time. So some of it looks like girdles that they would have around their arm, or even a girdle that looks like a face mask. Could that appear to be very scary to a 3rd grade or 5th grade classroom? Absolutely. So what do? We psychologists, we go into the schools first. We educate the principals, the curriculum coordinators, the lunchroom people, the teachers, and then we educate the kids. We explained, like actually take the assistive devices with us, like the things that look like a girdle for your face, actually take it in to the classroom and show it not on a person, but just show it, pass it around, let the kids look at it and touch it, then put it on a doll so they'll see what it's going to kind of look like, and explain that, they're going to have a new classmate and the classmate will look different, but that classmate really, really loves to play Dungeons and Dragons, or they really, really love football, and they're a Boy Scout or an Eagle Scout, and they play the violin, or they, played baseball, or whatever, to humanize that child who may not look like they think they should look, but we're trying to educate the kids that this kid looks different, but hey, he is everything exactly like you. He loves the same kind of things you love. Here's his favorite food. Here's his favorite colors. We do everything we can. And then what ends up happening, the kids will come in the first day. They'll only stay about 30 minutes. They'll just meet and say hello to everybody, and then they'll leave. And that gives time for the kids then to ask questions that we may not have already answered beforehand. We try to cover everything first, right? By the time those kids are now entering school and they're there all day, you want to know what the rest of the class is doing? They're helping that kid. They're intentionally inviting him. Hey, come, will you sit with me today at lunch? Will you come and play with us today on the playground? All you got to do is educate. Kids are not mean. Kids are honest, and when they see something they don't understand, they have questions and they may stare. But I'm going to tell you, 9 times out of 10, answer their questions, educate them, and no, they will not look at that kid who's on the spectrum as weird. They will look at that kid on the spectrum as a friend who has different needs than they do, and they're willing to help with those needs. So right there, perfect example where you've got a bunch of people listening to this Patreon, and they're saying something so insensitive like, well, kids on the spectrum are being bullied because the other kids think they're weird. You know what that is? That is ignorance. That is not being properly aware of what you're talking about. And if you don't know what you're talking about, then maybe it's better not to talk about it. And I was very sad that John didn't speak up and correct them as they made that global statement No, it's not true. We've done a great job. The special education teachers, classroom teachers in the public school system have been rock stars in teaching kids to be tolerant of each other. And yes, sometimes we're different, but really we're all different in our own way. And that's what makes it a lot of fun. That's what makes life interesting. That it would not be good for us all to be cookie cutter examples of each other. Oh, this is just so hard for me to listen to.
They don't do what everybody else does, or they don't listen, or whatever it is. I think they're just at a higher risk in general.
Targeted in general for bullying and higher risk.
Oh, good. That was so good, Lauren. That was so good. You parroted that so well. Your talents are unlimited, Lauren. I love how well you can repeat what someone else has just said.
Right. So even though autism is mainly neurologically based, there are indirect pathways. Exactly. That a child with autism that's unable to establish those emotional connections or has more trouble doing that is obviously going to have more trouble being accepted by peers.
Right.
And so they're more likely to be ostracized by peers. And if, for example, a child with autism,
he is part of the problem. He's literally saying exactly what they said. Again, John, are you unaware that you are the credentialed person in the room? Look, it's all. It has already been said that John has had to defend his license with his licensing board. They already said that. I would have no way of knowing that except what they say. So why isn't he aware of the violations, the ethical violations? And now it's just wrong information.
has certain repetitive patterns of behavior that other children find to be odd, then that child is more.
You know what, John? Maybe when you were in school, but in today's public school system, the teachers have done a great job educating the students. Those kids, yes, even those that have repetitive behaviors, they're mainstreamed into the regular classroom. Their friends understand that when they get excited, they may flap their hands, and that is okay. Why don't you know this, John?
More likely to be bullied for it.
Oh my God.
So it all, like,
we're not in the 1980s.
Where does it all begin? Right, it all kind of
Goes together.
fits in a vicious circle. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there
wrong.
are indirect.
A child with some violence because they could lose their license if something happened to teacher or child at school. It's just so sad. It's just so sad. There's not more.
What?
License for something, and she's like, I'm at risk because he's being aggressive, and like I don't know what to do. And so
who's at risk?
As my brother got older, for them.
For the nannies.
Yeah, it was very hard as his aggression grew. I was very attached to them, and I remember specifically when one left, it was really hard. I still talk to her. Yeah. But she was like, I'm at risk of losing. She had a license for something, and she's like, I'm at risk because he's being aggressive, and like I don't know what to do. And so I think that,
what was her license for? Like, why didn't she? I don't even know what this girl's talking about. She said, well, she had a license to do something. What? Was it a therapist? Was it a teacher, special ed? Like what the hell are you talking about, Grayson? But listen, I want you to listen to Lauren.
You just say, like, parents, these parents lose their cool. There's never an excuse, but I wonder if there's a correlation there of them not getting help. It's clear, like, these parents had been trying to get help. Like, it's hard.
Well, that's an interesting, could the system also not want to take a child with some violence because they could lose their license if something happened to teacher or child at school? It's just,
She can barely talk. Listen to her. She can barely talk. Why, Lauren? I think it is incredibly interesting that you're talking about the system doesn't want the system that is there to help people that have these conditions are not going to accept this kid that has these conditions because they don't want to lose their license. You don't, what are you talking about? You don't, you're, listen, she's not speaking. Like, I don't know what's wrong with her tongue, her mouth. I don't know why she can't talk.
And it was hard to, as my brother got older. So I was very attached to them, and I remember specifically when one left, it was really hard. I still talk to her.
Bananas.
Yeah. But she was like, I'm at risk of losing. She had a license for something, and she's like, I'm at risk because he's being aggressive, and like I don't know what to do. And so I think that, you know, as you just say, like parents, you know, these parents lose their cool. There's never an excuse, but I wonder if
Listen to
there's
Lauren
a correlation there of them not getting
to
help. It's clear
speak.
like these parents had been trying to get help. Like it's hard.
well, that's an interesting, could the system also not want to take a child with some violence because they could lose their license if something happened to teacher or child at school? It's just so sad. It's just so sad there's not more help for these children when good help and a specialized system could help them so much for the rest of their life.
You don't know what you're talking about. And your husband isn't interjecting any rational information into the system. What you just said is just virtue signaling, Lauren. And it was very slurry, and it was really hard to kind of figure out what the words were you were attempting to speak. But you may want to think about that before your next Patreon. But why do you talk like other people are the problem and you're the one virtuous soul among all others, and yet you don't seem to ever stay at home with your own child? You're fast enough to blame parents. You're quick to blame people that work in the system. You have no idea what you're talking about. None. You are looking for opportunities to put yourself up and above everyone else. The system can't take them. They're not going to take them because they're going to lose their lives. It's just so sad because they could be helped forever if someone just cared and did the right thing, like me. Lauren, people are trying to help. They work in the system because they want to help. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get through this today because it's so these two, Lauren and John, are so offensive. It is almost
Lives. I
think the system is.
I just people. Nobody loves it. Children. I love it. Children. It's just so bad. I just love it so much.
And a specialized system could help them so much for the rest of their lives. I think the system.
I just love them. I just love the little children so much. Nobody loves them like Lauren. Lauren loves the little children. And I need some more wine. I need some more wine, Grace. I want some more wine. This is this is crazy.
I think the system is. I think the system, feels at times somewhat helpless to deal with autism, because there's no clear intervention, right? Like, but the
There's
thing is,
not. What? Did this professional psychologist just say there's no clear intervention? What? Great. For all of you parents out there that subscribe to Hidden True Crime, you heard it from the great and powerful Oz himself. If your child is on the spectrum, if you yourself are on the spectrum, abandon hope, all ye who enter here, because there's nothing to be done. John, you are reckless, man. You are shocking.
It's just so sad there's not more help for these children. Good help and a specialized system could help them so much for the rest of their lives. I think the system
is, I think the system, feels at times somewhat helpless to deal with autism, because there's no clear intervention, right? Like,
I believe he said that. He literally said there is no clear intervention. Are you stupid, John? Do you have I think you have a head injury, John. Or, someone, John Matthias, someone left a comment that called you a fabulist. You know what that is, right? You know what that is? You just make up shit. Like, you just make shit up. Like, you have no care at all if what you're saying is accurate or true. Like, you got chased by an elephant? You got run over by an 18-wheeler? What? Now you say there's nothing to be done. There's nothing to help someone that is on the spectrum. Damn, okay, people. All right, I'm going to take a minute here, okay? After careful consideration, I have made the decision that one must have a license to go live on YouTube. YouTube must start credentialing creators. I've made my decision. We've got to have some kind of merit-based system that says the creator you are listening to is at a bare minimum sane. They're not seeing little green men running around the room. Oh my God, John. Oh my God. What? John. Okay. John, question. Are people on the spectrum, are they also having intellectual disability? No. In fact, the bell curve for IQ scores for those on the spectrum compared to those who are considered neurotypical is exactly the same. You've got a small percentage that are geniuses and on the spectrum. Most of them have average in the middle IQs and are on the spectrum, and a small percentage are low functioning and on the spectrum. Isn't that right, John? So help me understand why you can't just, if someone on the spectrum is having trouble relating to peers, why can't we teach them what to do? And then do role playing and repetition and overcorrect. Why can't we do all that? Why can't we teach them about emotions? Yeah. Why can't we teach them friendship skills, John? I'm confused when you say there's nothing to be done. You are dangerous, bud. You are dangerous. You don't have any business talking to 300,000 people. Jesus.
But the thing is, when you think about autism and
Excuse
violence
me,
or
I
aggression,
have to interject this. Everybody, yes, we do know how to help people that are struggling with symptoms related to autism. Okay, we do know how to help them. Okay, I don't know what he's talking about.
if you realize, so among children, the biggest risk factors for violence would be ADHD and or oppositional defiant, right? But
I thought it was anger, John. You did a live not long ago that the biggest indicator of violence was anger, not autism. Now we're changing it. He's a fabulist. He changes what he says depending on what the conversation is. Nothing that he says is authoritative, y'all. Nothing. And yet, you got 300,000 cult members that think that these two clowns are doing a service.
as adults, that changes a little bit, and it becomes the risk factors for adults, surprisingly, are still ADHD, but also psychosis or mental health issues.
Oh,
right?
that's
So,
that got Lauren excited, didn't it? Listen. She likes this. Listen to how excited she gets.
or oppositional defiant, right? But as adults, that changes a little bit, and it becomes the risk factors for adults, surprisingly, are still ADHD, but also psychosis or mental health issues.
Oh, light shines on yonder face. Lauren, you don't know what he's talking about, honey. You don't even know where you are. Okay, just don't. John, I can't wait to hear this. I can't wait to hear this.
Right. So, but the point is, autism there may be limits to what we can do with autism, but we can treat ADHD.
Right.
We can treat psychosis. Right. There's certain way we have ways to intervene with those things, and so in that sense,
I don't know how this guy got licensed. I don't know how he graduated from his program.
like, I don't know. The problem here, for me at least, is I don't know exactly what's going on with Clayton. I mean, maybe he probably has.
Well, of course you don't. He's a character in a newspaper article, John. You're not supposed to know what's going on with him. You didn't do an evaluation.
ADHD too. Was that diagnosed? Was that treated? Like, I think the school district, maybe by seeing this as just autism spectrum disorder, is not. I think they're not willing to engage with this child because maybe they don't want the risk, and maybe they recognize the limitations of dealing with autism. I don't know. But on the other hand, they're not giving this kid a chance by not giving him a full evaluation and looking at all the components.
Okay, now some actual real information, since the Wizard of Oz doesn't seem to know any. Here's some real information, okay? A public school system, well, actually not just public, private as well, have to abide by the IDEA Act. A school system must give an evaluation. Now, I'm talking about a full psychological evaluation. And yes, that would serve for educational needs, okay? But you still get a whisk for an IQ score. You still get like a Wyatt for achievement. You still do a Basque or do a Vineland for adaptive functioning. But that is specific to educational needs, okay? Now, what ends up happening for me is I'll have a situation that comes up and I need to get a good evaluation, and I'll have to make a case I'll have to appeal to the medical insurance, why the information that I need to gather, why it's a medical necessity, because they're going to argue with me and they're going to say, look, the funds have already been allocated for educational testing. So this testing should be done through the school system, right? And then I have to explain, no, I need a deeper type of testing. I don't want to get into all the specifics, but then I have to explain there is medical need for this, not educational. So, so this is simply inaccurate what he's saying, that the school system is refusing to do a proper psychological evaluation on Clayton. They can't by law. Clayton is protected by federal law. The school can't do anything without the approval, the signature of the parents. And if Clayton already has an IEP, if he's already being serviced through goals and objectives through an ARD committee, then if the parents refuse to sign new goals and objectives or updated testing or whatever, if the parents refuse that, then he is passed forward, meaning they have to keep the same goals and objectives in place. They can't just discontinue him from service. They can't just drop him. If he loses face, that has to happen with the signature of the parents. And if the parents refuse to sign, then the kid stays on the same IEP into the next grade level, even into high school, which is that transition from junior high to high school is really tricky, because the first day, freshman year, if your kid is in special ed, they have to already have a transition plan out of high school, and those get expensive. And that's why they try to drop your child before high school. Okay. But most parents don't know. No, you can tell them you're going to do an evaluation. The law also reads, a full reevaluation must be done before entering high school. Not a read, not a reassessment, not a reevaluation, a new, completely new, all new instruments administered. Gathering information from teachers, from parents, all of it has to be redone before high school, because, and again, it comes back to the critical protections that are in place by federal law that govern the transition out of high school into adulthood. Some kids will be on a diploma track. Some kids will be on an education track. Some kids will need to find a way to provide for independent living, right? And those are expensive to do for the school system. So John is 100% wrong. 100% incorrect. The school cannot deny a proper evaluation to a child. They cannot. It's illegal. It's against federal law. Aren't you the big, muckety muck about federal law, John? Didn't you say you're an expert witness? You testify? Okay, well, did you forget about that federal law? Number two, if these parents are struggling with the school and the school is not doing what they believe should be done, then you have the right to request an independent educational evaluation. And that means you come to people like me and say, we need a really good evaluation done, an expansive evaluation that is specific and nuanced. And I, when I do my reports, I always do like goals and objectives and stuff like that. Sometimes they use them, sometimes they don't want to commit the time and energy. But anyway, so John is sending a message to 300,000 hidden true crime subscribers that the school now has the right, the federal government has the right to say that they will not evaluate your child if he needs it. And you would be being told wrong. They must. And they can do a read, they can do a reevaluation, but if the kid is transitioning into high school, then a full new assessment has to be completed for high school. If you're going to put your credentials out there as a foundation for your content, John, you better treat it like it's your job. You've made some critical errors.
That's that I just talked about, right?
Right.
Their obligation should be to do a full evaluation, a full neuropsychological evaluation to determine how much of this is autism, how much of it's ADHD, how much of it's behavioral issues, right? Like it's how much of it is, I don't know, maybe there's some elements of bipolar here. But they're not trying to figure.
Why not? Let's just add on now a psychiatric condition. Why don't we just do that? Why not? Why not? This is fun, isn't it, John? You having fun? You having fun just adding on all kinds of shit? Putting out information that is categorically 100% wrong? Yeah, now let's just say, well, the kid's bipolar too. Do you know anything, Curie, about executive functioning? Conditions of executive functioning? How ODD and ADHD share a lot of the same symptoms because it happens in the same part of the brain?
Figure it out.
Right. It's so sad.
Yeah, and I guess
and Princess
I think
Lauren, we got a little editorial now by Princess Lauren. She's got a little bit of virtue signaling to do. Listen closely. She's going to be a part of this conversation.
Bipolar here. But they're not trying to figure it out.
Right. It's so sad.
Right. It's so sad. They're not even trying to figure it out because you're just bad people. I love them people. I love it. So sad. So sad. So sad. John, can I have some more wine? It's not just so sad, John. You're saying nobody loves these children. I love them. I need another glass of wine. Good God. This is incredible to listen to. John, the school does care. And the hospital cares. The providers care. What do you think these conditions are? You think these are all the effect of child abuse? Because that's exactly what you're saying, isn't it, John? You're saying autism is the result of child abuse. You're saying autism is the result of teachers not teaching. You know what you're doing? You know what you are, John? You're not a psychologist. You're a blamer. You're blaming everyone else. The school didn't want to help that kid. Why not? I'd love to hear that. Why wouldn't they want to help Clayton? You think they enjoy having a student in the classroom that's violent? You think they're having fun with that, John? You think that's working for the other kids? Of course they want to help. Of course they want the little boy to get well. But you are blaming everyone and everything. And then Princess Lauren pipes up and says, I love them. I want to help them. I just need one more glass of wine. I just get one more glass. And I promise I'm going to help Clayton. I'm going to help Clayton. I would teach Clayton how to have his eyebrows. That's what I would do. I love Clayton. I love you, Clayton. Look, yeah, I'm using hyperbole. I'm acting stupid, but how far off the mark am I really? this is an absurd. This is really like something out of a movie. This doesn't even seem real that I'm listening to. I don't know any psychologist that would do this, that would take an employee and say, come on my public platform and tell me the darkest secrets of your family. And then I'm just going to talk shit that doesn't have any support factually, empirically, only vaguely theoretically supported. And let's just collect that money. Let's just collect that money. Come on, all that big, beautiful money. Let's go. Come on, baby. I don't know anybody that would put their lives online for this nonsense.
Yeah, and I guess that I think I've read various comments and people are saying I've read various comments and people are saying the parent,
Now,
Right. It's so sad.
yeah, and I guess that I think I've read various comments.
Did y'all hear that someone passed air? Someone passed air. Lauren, was that you? Are you in your cups so deep that you are now making body noises? Listen, she literally toots.
I mean, but they're not trying to figure it out.
After she
Right.
said it's so sad.
So sad.
Yeah, and I guess that
Did you hear it?
I think I've
It's so sad.
yeah, and I guess that
To figure it out.
Right. It's so sad.
yeah, and I guess that
Oh
I
my
think
God. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm dead, Nona G. This is like a movie. And then she goes to the bathroom, Calissa. She goes to the bathroom for like 20 minutes. Oh no. Do y'all hear it? If you hear it, put a 1. If you don't hear it, put a 2. And please be honest. Right after she says, that's so sad. Wow. This is like a movie like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is so wild. Grayson, you're the executive producer. Why didn't you edit that out? Oh my God.
I've
Because
read
it was live, right?
various comments and people are saying the parents were trying to pass the buck to the school, and I don't think that's the case. I actually think that
They're seeking help.
you're so limited on resources. Like, you have to pay for everything. Like,
Right.
if you
Your
don't
child
have
has
the
to go to
money,
school. Your child has to go to school. You want them to go to school. You want them.
right? You have to have a career so you can pay for what they need. You have to pay for therapy. You have to pay for doctors' appointments. You have to pay for everything. And so, like, the school district, I think they were just reaching out to the school district, being like, "We need help."
Right.
So I don't think the parents were necessarily passing the buck, but
No,
Yeah.
I don't either.
I think but that brings me to my point is, like, when I read that letter, it's sad because I think that the parents didn't expect them to be the targets of violence. They were so concerned about other people being the target that in there they don't mention themselves. And it's, in the end, his dad ends up being the target of the violence.
Right. I mean, to me, I think they're looking for support.
Right.
Right. Like one of the findings. So, for example,
It's clear they love Clayton. They're not giving up on Clayton. They want the help for Clayton. They want support.
I had mentioned earlier that. So
I mean, literally, she just repeats what they're saying. Lauren, you got to quit talking, honey. You got to quit talking. You sound foolish. Listen, she repeats the same thing in different words.
It's of violence. They were so concerned about other people being the target that in there they don't mention themselves. And it's, in the end, his dad ends up being the target of the violence.
Right. I mean, to me, I think they're looking for support.
Okay, so John says they're looking for support. Now, Lauren, I got something to say. I love Clayton, and they were looking for support, for someone to support them, to hold them up, support. Listen to her. She says like the same concept, but using three different change the semantics, right? Use different words. Listen.
Right.
Like one of the findings. So, for example,
It's clear they love Clayton. They're not giving up on Clayton.
They're not giving up on Clayton. They just want support.
They want the help for Clayton. They want support.
They want the help for Clayton. They want support.
I had mentioned earlier that. So
God,
I'm just gonna
stop talking, Lauren. Stop. You think people don't hear that you're a parrot? That you don't have an original thought in your mind?
I'm going to reference a study here this is from the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders 2022, homicide incidents involving children with autism spectrum disorder. That's the title, as victims reported in the U.S. news media 2000 to 2019. So this study looked at news media accounts of the children that were victims, and here's what they found. They say, our findings show that family members and caregivers were the most common perpetrators of child homicide with autistic children, with the most frequently cited contributing factor being overwhelming stress from caring for the child. Prior studies have reported that parents of children with autism spectrum disorder experience substantial chronic stress due to the significant demands related to the child's special needs. And so what do they recommend? Support.
Julie Skolnick, who has a YouTube channel, and yes, we've had our run-ins. However, I'm honest and I give credit where credit is due. And Julie Skolnick has raised two boys that are each on the spectrum, and she's very vocal about it, putting them on YouTube and whatnot, or TikTok. Anyway, she actually worked really, really hard for multiple years with the Congress, I think New Jersey Congress, and made it a law where the state would provide like an extra week of care for kids on the spectrum so parents can have respite. So parents can get some time away from the child and tend to their own mental health needs, because it is very demanding and it is difficult. And yes, most states have begun to provide funding for care so that the parents can have some days for their own mental health needs, even to just kind of go to exercise class or whatever and get grounded. So that is a huge plus, and it is a perfect example of someone who is not just giving lip service to an important need, but is actually doing it. That she's not virtue signaling. She literally did the work to make it happen. And now, thousands of parents are benefiting. And in the meantime, we have John and Lauren blaming everybody. Nobody cares about these kids. They're the only two people that care about the kids. Nobody else does. But Julie didn't blame. Julie went to Congress and had the law changed. So take from that what you will. So maybe all of you hidden true crime people, instead of subscribing here, you should also include Julie Skolnick, because she seems to put her money where her mouth is, where autism and children are concerned. They don't just say, I love Clayton, he's a good boy.
Right? Like, to deal with a child that's creating a lot of stress in the family system, I think it's perfectly expected for that family to seek outside resources because they don't necessarily have the ability to cope
No.
with a child that's
And early intervention is important with this, to teach them and to help them and to give them the best.
Well, that's really interesting for you to say that, Lauren, because your husband just said that there is no intervention for autism. There is no help for autism. And now you're saying that there are great things to do for autism. Kind of scary that you're the non-psychologist in the house.
As possible.
It also brings up the fact was, if this child went through the foster system, where's the resources there?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't they have more resources to them there because he was not a biological child? So therefore, I read something, I don't know if it's true.
They do have more resources through the foster care system, Grayson. I don't know who's telling you they don't. They do. They get professional psychologists paid for by the state till they're 18, 21 years old. Psychiatry to get medication, social skills training, occupational therapy, physical therapy. Yeah, there's all kinds, behavioral. I don't know what you're talking about, Grayson. They do. There is help out there. I do not know what you three people are talking about.
True, but it says that there was like DCYF or DCS, whatever, like involvement prior. I think some family friends had said that. Like,
So probably foster to adopt.
So probably foster to adopt. So where's the support there? Right? Like,
yeah, I mean, right. And I mean, there's another component here. Even if the system doesn't necessarily want to intervene with the child,
Oh my
they
God,
can still
John.
help the parents.
The system is designed to intervene, John. That's why the system is there. Why are you blaming the system? Or you're blaming the parent? Or you're blaming the school? Why? Why are you not blaming the unlocked safe that had a firearm with a bullet in the chamber next to a Game Boy? Why? Why does it have to be the system, the school? Why? Why can't it be there was a critical error that was made and somebody didn't lock the safe properly?
right.
Right. If all the things I just mentioned, like a chaotic home environment, unusual stress in the home, right? Parenting style, like if a parenting style is primarily authoritarian, and parents are very critical and disapproving, all the things that I just mentioned.
John, is there any indication that that's what Clayton was living in? No. You just have randomly attributed that to Clayton's situation. And you're the psychologist, and not once have you mentioned maybe Clayton was having some real neurological involvement and he was out of control. Never once have you said that. Never once have you said, why was Clayton able to access a gun with an open safe? Why? Why aren't we talking about that? Why do we have to blame everyone?
Yeah.
Rejecting, right? If those things are going on in the home, and I wouldn't necessarily even blame the parents, like some of it could be a function of the fact that you have a child that you can't rein in, right? But if those things are going on in the home, then help the parents
Right.
understand it
Right.
and respond differently. And so,
And why do you think they weren't? Why do you think the system, the school, the medical providers, why exactly are you so convinced that they were not trying to help? Why? So this is so bad to listen to.
that might involve an intervention that would offer the parents classes or some type of educational component or even a therapeutic component.
Right.
To help the parents.
Weekly therapy with a psychologist. it's our job to know so we can educate the parent, to help the parent, right? To write behavior plans and teach the parent, to use rewards and reinforcement and avoid punitive, punishing environments, right? To put expected behavior on poster boards, not screaming at a kid, what's wrong with you? Why can't you do it right? They do provide all that, John. It is provided. I don't know what you're talking about here, unless you're just trying to be, well, maybe you're a virtue signaler too.
Manage their stress and to be, help them become better parents so that they don't, they don't know necessarily.
Right.
Why? Why wouldn't they know? They are given access to professionals like you, John. Aren't you the great magnificent Oz? You're the one that is required to teach them. But that in no way accounts for why there's an open safe with a loaded firearm. Does it? When are we going to talk about that? Or are we only going to virtue signal? When are we going to talk about reality here?
So I think it's all of those elements.
Yeah, I mean, and look, we don't know a lot about Clayton. We don't know a lot about his situation. I kind of threw it on you. I mean, you can't really give an analysis because we just don't know. But
right,
in
this particular case,
right, and so we can kind of talk broadly, but like in a situation like this, this child's going to now move through the criminal justice system, and how's that going to help him? But two, how's that going to, do they just start doing, does he now get the full evaluation and everything?
Grayson, he was able to get his hands on a loaded gun. He killed his dad, and he said he wanted to shoot someone. I don't even know what you mean now when you say, well, who's going to help him now? Well, now he's a ward of the state. He's going to go through the legal system, and hopefully the best case scenario, I think, my opinion, I don't know this, but my guess would be that, maybe he's institutionalized in a medical setting for the criminally insane, right? And I'm not saying he's insane, but I'm saying with his age, being young, what it is, they won't house him with the young adolescents. They're going to have to keep him separate from the adults. So likely the best case scenario is to find a medical placement for him, would be my guess.
As he moves through the criminal justice, do you know what I mean? Is that, I assume, you did your psychosexual evaluations, I assume there's going to be some sort of evaluation on his mental competency.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, first of all,
what happens?
They're gonna have to determine. So you said Pennsylvania law requires in these cases that he automatically is treated like an adult.
Yeah.
Right, which is why
an attorney can argue to bring it to juvenile.
Right, so they're going to have to. That seems to me to be a no-brainer.
Right.
They're going to have to assess, right, this child's intellectual, disabilities, if they exist, or his intellectual capacity. They're going to have to assess his emotional level, right, his relative, emotional intelligence compared to other kids his age, right? I mean, they're going to have to look at a lot of elements that would determine placement in terms of the judicial system. Is the first question I would want to know is, you know, is this, I mean, you said it earlier, like, is he even capable of understanding? It seems like he doesn't even understand what he did.
Right.
So is that because of his state of mind at the time of the crime? Is it because of autism? Is it because, right, there's so many issues there. So I think you need to look at that to start assessing whether this child should be treated as, you know, treated by the system as an adult or as a juvenile, or even, he's not even a juvenile, as a child. I mean, the number of kids, by the way, that I've worked with that are under 13 that have committed violent crimes or significant crimes is very limited.
Right.
And even like, I think the youngest child I've ever seen that I've ever evaluated was 9. And, you know, I remember getting the referral, and you know, the first thing I did is I called up the DA and I said, do I have this age right? Like, this is a 9-year-old and you want to charge him as an adult? I'm like, what, help me understand what you're thinking here, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't, you know, I think sometimes when you have, for example, a 9-year-old, 11-year-old that
John, when you are doing an evaluation, especially for the court, are you sure that your emotions are a factor? Is that professional? Or do we have objective testing for a reason?
And was like, could you go assist my wife? Like, just get him calmed down.
Help him.
De-escalate the situation. My wife is alone with him. Just help de-escalate. And he had like hit a door because he was angry and they charged him.
This is a personal family story.
My own brother and my dad being out of town at one point, and I grew up in a nice area, but unfortunately that area is, if the police are called, usually somebody's going to jail. And my brother was maybe 11, 12 and was having an outburst. My dad was out of town. So my dad called the local police and was like, could you go assist my wife? Like, just get him calmed down.
Help him.
De-escalate the situation. My wife is alone with him. Just help de-escalate. And he had like hit a door because he was angry and they charged him.
charged him with what? Like destruction of property?
Something
Correct.
to that-
Why are you laughing, John? Why would you laugh? That's not funny. Yeah, it is called destruction of. There's other charges that you can make too, like threat of bodily harm. They're doing their job.
Effect, domestic, something. But it was like they charged him for hitting a door.
But it sounds like they charged him to try to control his behavior, or restrain his behavior.
Right, but then they didn't just drop it. Like, my parents ended up having to spend thousands of dollars on an attorney, and he went to juvie. My mom had to go get him out the next day. And it was like this whole thing of maybe it was the same day, I don't remember, but it was like this whole thing of all my parents wanted was just some help de-escalating a situation.
Support.
Right. They wanted the police to, they wanted.
My dad was like, I'm across the country and I just need somebody to de-escalate.
Right.
So what would you have been happy with? You have a teenager here who is assaulting doors, which, remember when Johnny Depp beat up his own cabinets? And all of you guys were saying that was abuse. Remember that, Grayson? All of you guys were saying that him slamming his cabinet doors, that was violence. That was abuse. Remember that, Grayson? But if it's your brother doing it, then it's just a door. Well, I don't know. It sounds like to me your mother was very frightened, which is why your dad resorted to calling the police and saying, we need some help at my house. My wife needs your help. My wife needs your help. Had your brother hit your mom before? So don't pick and choose your virtue. Can't do that. And the reality is, in some of these situations, these teenagers, it is helpful for the child to be removed from the home. And if they have broken a law, then they're probably going to be put in jail overnight. But doesn't that give opportunity for de-escalation? And in those circumstances that I've seen where it was a minor, they would call in a psychologist to go and talk to the kid. That was in,
because she's alone with him and he's having an outburst because he's got all these, and so that's what that, and I think ultimately, like, when things like that happen, that's when kids enter the system and then they're just in the system.
Right.
So, like, if this child is entering the system at 11 years old,
Will he ever leave the system?
right, and do they look at this child as, how can we
Help him?
How can we help him? How can we rehabilitate him? How can we, I don't know, like, that there's a lot of, like, logistical questions there because it was a murder, but, like, is this child just going to be looked at as a lost cause? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's a murder, but did the child understand what he was doing?
There's so many factors to it that, like,
right. And even if somehow this child is not in the system for years and years and years, or let's say forever, how does this impact his relationship with his mother?
right.
Right, with the surviving parent. Right. I mean, that becomes problematic maybe because presumably she loved her husband. And now this is a different family system. This is a different family system where you have a child who is a murderer, potentially, or alleged murderer,
Right.
living with a mother who no longer has the husband she presumably needed and loved. Right? How does that work?
I haven't been talking a lot, and I think this case just makes me sad.
Yeah.
Oh, we had
It's
to have
really sad.
There's
Princess
no, like-
Lauren had to interject her virtue.
It's just sad.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, when you have, it becomes even more complicated by the fact that when you have a child this age committing murder, generally speaking, I don't know the laws in Pennsylvania, but generally speaking, the system demands accountability to a large degree. And if the child is convicted as an adult, then given the changes in certain laws, there's virtually no chance that this child will get a second chance.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the case, but the Supreme Court did change a lot of the laws around. There used to be something called Miller's Law that allowed adolescents that engaged in seriously violent crimes. They used to, by law, they were allowed to have hearings in the, I forget the exact timeline, but they were allowed to get a second chance essentially. And the Supreme Court shut that down and basically said, no, states can now essentially lock up juveniles or 11-year-olds forever and throw away the key.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I can't imagine.
His birthday.
It was his birthday.
It was
10 years. I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's so bad. So sad. These types of cases are just so complex.
Yeah. So there's no really clear, we just wanted to talk it out, I guess. That's actually also why I think we decided to do this for Patreon. I think we just wanted to have a conversation about it, right? Just with no clear conclusion or ending. We don't know a lot, but just to talk about it, talk it out.
Yeah, I think it was just on my mind a lot today. I was just like, how do you reconcile? Like how does this family reconcile this, and how, you know what I mean? Like, this is just such a sad, and I think having siblings on the spectrum, I think I just naturally have a lot more like empathy towards those situations.
Oh, absolutely.
Because people really don't understand.
Yeah.
Until you live with somebody who has a diagnosis. People don't understand, but I do. People don't understand, but Lauren does. People don't understand, but John does. They think that if you are underage and you shoot and kill your parent, that's okay. You should get a do-over.
Diagnosis like that, or whether or not they have a diagnosis, you know what I mean? Like, as a parent, as a sibling, as anybody who lives with somebody who struggles significantly mentally, I think nobody can understand it.
Yeah. And thank you for explaining though that autism does not make people
no,
violent. That is not what causes it. It's
She got to interject how smart she is, right? She's got to make sure that everybody gives her respect as the smarty pants in the room.
the combination.
yeah, no. The main finding from
It's not
so far from the research, at least from the large study,
to violence. It's just and I love that little whippersnapper Clayton. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. If he just had the school just care take care of. Okay. I'm thirsty. God damn it. I want something to drink. We need to tell a joke. It's just too sad in here. It's messy, man. She is messy. Listen.
That is not what causes it. It's the combination.
yeah, no.
A combination. It's just a combination. This is like, it leaves me speechless how messy and simplistic it is.
The main finding from so far from the research, with at least from the large studies on autism and violence, is the main finding is that it's not the autism that's responsible. The autism is a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder does not increase the risk for violence any more than it would in the general population. That's the main finding. So
But it could make them more of a victim to violence.
Yeah. But when there is violence, it's typically, as I just talked about, it's typically attributed more to a third variable, such as ADHD, oppositional defiant, psychosis, right? Substance abuse, kind of the.
What about Nick? What about Richard Allen? Huh?
The usual.
Again, fabulous. He just says what comes to his mind in any given setting, and he has zero regard for truth. So he's just constantly contradicting himself.
Suspects that we always talk about.
Right. Yeah.
So which is very similar to what we talked about with schizophrenia, right? I think the research on schizophrenia and violence is not quite as strong as this, though. Like what we know so far about autism.
Yeah, so this genius says that schizophrenia does not have anything to do with violence.
Spectrum disorder is there's much less actually of a connection, and so I think it's a little misleading. It's a little misleading for some of this is about the media. In terms of
The media?
Brian Koberger, right? Like
What?
Sandy Hook, Adam Lanza was.
Excuse me. Adam Lanza was a homicidal maniac. Okay? He was constantly threatening people to harm them and hurt them. He was constantly telling his mother that he was going to hurt one of them. The father had all but checked out of the family because he was trying to protect his second son. Why are you bringing this up? This is incredible. Dr. John, not all people on the spectrum are created equal. Just because you have the diagnosis of autism, it doesn't mean that you're not also a psychopath. There are people on the spectrum that have exactly zero corrective emotions. You just talk out of both sides of your mouth. You have no awareness how you're affecting the people that are listening to you.
Said to have autism, right? There's a lot of these high profile cases where it seems like a lot of people want to pin this on autism right away.
Right.
And I think that's misleading. And so I think I kind of avoided this because I feel like this is not necessarily a popular opinion to say that autism is not really associated.
I think you should have avoided this entire topic. I don't think this Patreon should ever have been made. If you were going to do this topic, I don't know why you didn't educate yourself. All you did was pulled a few research projects that you could read someone else's work, not even your own work, and you're just talking backwards, upside down. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just like a kitchen sink full of diagnoses and blame with no clear educational outcome. This is terrible, John.
With violence per se any more than somebody in the general population, because it seems like there's such a drumbeat these days in the true crime community. People want to blame autism for so much.
But if we're pinning it on autism, then I would think that we're almost like grouping autism as violence, and then you're
we're not.
Every other child at a disadvantage because they're seen as somebody who could be violent when it's not. Do you know what I mean?
No,
that's just what I'm thinking about. If we're saying it's autism,
right.
No one is equating autism with violence except maybe you two. No, nobody hears the word autism says, "Oh, I bet that's a violent person." Nobody does that. Wow.
Like, if when the media is doing that and people are doing that, like, you're putting every other child who has autism at a disadvantage, because then naturally there becomes a bias formed by like other parents who are like,
I worry about. I think that's why I avoid talking about it, because I don't want anyone to think that autism causes.
Yeah,
right. Other parents.
That's why you avoid talking about it, Lauren. Really? I can't.
Parents are gonna be like, "Don't hang out with that kid. They have autism. They might be violent," and that's not.
Don't hang out with that kid. They have autism and might be violent. Where did you hear that exactly? Yeah, that's not real. I don't believe that's real. No. Y'all remember when I said that the school system had done a great job of educating students about autism, so that their peers that have autism can be accepted and understood? No. People do not say, "Don't hang out with that kid. He's got autism. He's going to be violent." That's not true. That maybe in the 80s, maybe back in the 1960s, not today, not in 2026.
Autism does not cause violence.
Wait a minute. Are these Mormon school? No, I'm kidding. I thought I'd juke the audience a little bit and wake y'all up. I was kidding. I didn't mean that. It was a joke.
Right. That's the main.
It actually will often cause violence towards the child with
Absolutely.
autism.
That's the main finding.
And you're misstating that statistic. You're completely misstating that statistic. Children on the spectrum are more likely to experience violence at the hands of the parents.
I'll just kind of conclude with this thought. I mean, we can keep talking, but
yeah,
for me,
you've been talking. That's all you've been doing.
For me, the important, and this would be true from what we know of Clayton,
me too,
like his
Marshall.
response to police, right? Saying, "I don't know what did he say?" He said something to the effect of, "I didn't know." He didn't understand what he was doing, right? Like,
when police asked Clayton what he thought would happen when he fired the gun, he said that he was, quote, he was mad and had not thought about that.
Exactly. And so here's what I talk about all the time in terms of violent crime, is that there are certain factors in violence that we know occur or reoccur all the time, like lack of empathy, like anger, right? Like a sense of entitlement or envy or jealousy or greed.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that for me, one of the preconditions that's almost always present is
Well
some
said.
type of violent ideation.
Mhm.
And his comment there shows a complete lack of violent ideation. In other words, he didn't understand the causal connection between firing a gun and murdering his father.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Right? That wasn't like he might have been angry because they took away his Nintendo Switch,
Yeah.
but somehow, and he probably understood what a gun was, but I don't think he made the full connection between taking that gun,
But pull that trigger.
pulling the trigger,
I'm gonna
right.
murder my dad.
He may have been a little angry at his dad. He may have been a little angry he didn't have a Switch, but
Wasn't he 12? Yeah. A 12-year-old knows full well what happens when you pull the trigger.
don't think he understood or equated that.
He might not have said, if I shoot my dad, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in prison. He may not have said that. That's not the standard of the law.
To what happened, to the,
Yeah.
I
to the
agree,
outcome.
right, so the violent ideation was
There's
not
no
there.
right. Unlike Nick Reiner,
Good call.
right? And by the way, both of these are parasites.
Squawk. Listen to Parrot Lauren. Okay, so the violent ideation was not there. Yeah, John just said that the violent ideation wasn't there. He just gave examples the violent ideation wasn't there. He didn't believe the violent ideation wasn't there. Princess Lauren, I don't think the violent ideation was there. Do you think people don't recognize that you're just repeating after either John or Grayson? Come up with your own thought, Lauren. Say your own words.
Yeah.
Unlike Nick Reiner, who clearly has a lot of violent ideation from the past and from towards his parents, right? This is a child who doesn't have that necessarily.
This was a good TLDR right there. Too long didn't read, too long didn't listen, that right there. This child didn't have.
Do you want to know how bad she's slurring her words? She's slurring her words so bad, I don't know what she just said. Did y'all understand what it was she just said? Yeah, exactly, Kylie. Oh, completely. Yeah. But did y'all hear her? I don't know what the lady said. Let's listen again. Maybe we'll slow it down a little bit. Let's listen.
By the way, both of these are parasites.
Yeah.
Unlike Nick Reiner, who clearly has a lot of violent ideation
She says something about TLDR. Listen.
from the past and from towards his parents, right? This is a child who doesn't have that necessarily.
This was a good TLDR right there. Too long didn't read, too long didn't listen, that right there. This
What is she saying?
was a good TLDR right there.
Good TLDR.
Too long didn't read, too long didn't listen.
Too long. Lauren, get out of the damn bottle, lady. Get out of the bottle. This craziness.
From the past and from towards
Okay, let me slow it down. Maybe that'll help us. Hold on. Playback speed. Let's slow down. Let's go to like 80 and see if we can understand what she's saying. She's saying TLDR, but then I can't hear it, so slurry.
parents, right? This is a child who doesn't have that necessarily.
This was a good TLDR right there. Too long didn't read, too long didn't listen, that right.
Oh, I know what I know what she said. Are y'all ready? Let me interpret. I can interpret. It's a good TLDR. It's a good too long to drink too long to drink. Can I drink? Is it time to drink? It's time, Lauren, to drink. TLDR, time, Lauren, to drink. Hear what she said. TLDR, too long, didn't read, too long, didn't listen? Is it get it together? Spoken at the end of a live. What? Too long, didn't read. And then she said, something else. Damn, I am intrigued. We are going to figure this out before this live is over. Let's listen again.
A lot of violent ideation from the
Are y'all ready?
past and from towards his parents, right?
TLDR,
This
too
is a
long,
child who
didn't
doesn't
read.
have that necessarily.
This was a good TLDR right there. Too long didn't read, too long didn't listen. That right there.
Too long, didn't read. Too long, didn't listen? Lauren, that's not an R. That's an L, honey. Could somebody, Grayson, do your damn job. Take the bottle away from her. TLDR meaning. TLDR stands for too long, didn't read. It is common internet. So, well, I'm not familiar with it. I'm not sure, ChatGPT, that I would call it common. I didn't know it. My chat didn't know it. It is common internet slang used to provide a brief summary of a long post, article, or email. It acts as a helpful, concise takeaway. I don't think Lauren knows what TLDR means. It is often placed at the beginning or end of a long message, followed by one or two sentences outlining the main points. See, Lauren, you're stupid. You don't just go, this is a good TLDR, damn it. Damn it, this is a good TLDR. Damn fine. Cheers. Cheers, TLDR. That's not the way it works, Lauren. You say TLDR, and then you give one or two sentences, pithy and concise. It allows readers to grasp the core message more quickly. Time-oriented. Too long, didn't watch for videos. What's too long, didn't listen? She said too long, didn't listen. Oh my God, I'm getting brain damage. If you're getting brain damage from listening to this Patreon, put a 1 in the chat, please.
This child didn't have, it sounds like, any violent ideation. Violent ideation is what most criminals share, or lack of empathy. That doesn't seem to be the issue here. And now he's in the system.
Right.
And it's so
Yeah, and I think
freaking sad.
this article,
Mighty
know.
Lauren, she is drunker than Cooter Brown. Drunker than Cooter Brown. Who in the hell was Cooter Brown? Did y'all know that that is actually a real figure, like an American folklore legendary figure, famous for the phrase drunkard and Cooter Brown, describing extreme intoxication. The story says he lived on the Mason-Dixon line during the Civil War, and Cooter Brown stayed perpetually drunk to avoid being drafted by either the Union or the Confederacy, as he had family on both sides. He became so intoxicated that he was deemed useless for military service, and the legend varies at that point. Some tales claim his body vanished in a fire because he was so full of alcohol, while others say that he simply walked away. Yeah. So y'all hear me talk about Cooter Brown all the time. I always say, he's drunker than Cooter Brown. In this case, Lauren is drunker than Lauren Matthias. You know what I mean? Jelly bean?
Too long didn't listen. That right there.
Yeah, there's no too long didn't listen, Lauren.
To what happened to the
I
to the
agree.
outcome.
Right. So the violent ideation was
There's
not
no
there.
violent, right. Unlike Nick Reiner, right? And by the way, both of these are parricides.
Yeah.
Unlike Nick Reiner, who clearly has a lot of violent ideation from the past and from towards his parents, right?
And a diagnosis of schizophrenia and a history that might suggest undiagnosed autism. So, what is your point exactly, Wizard of Oz?
This is a child who doesn't have that necessarily.
This was a good TLDR right there. Too long didn't read, too long didn't listen. That right there. This
Too long to read, too long to listen, too Lauren. It's time to drink.
child didn't have, it sounds like, any violent ideation. Violent ideation is what most criminals
Wait.
share, or lack of
What?
empathy.
What?
That doesn't seem to be the
Listen here, Cooter Brown. You are talking out of your head. You're speaking madness. She literally just said that the little boy that killed his father, who got mad because he wanted to play his video game and he got a gun and shot and killed his dad, she just said the 12-year-old was unlike Nick Reiner because there was no evidence of homicidal rage or violent inclinations or violent. Or Lauren, he got mad at his dad and shot him with a gun. I think that would classify as violence.
issue here, and now he's in the system.
Listen,
Like Nick
listen to her.
Reiner, who clearly has a lot of violent ideation from the past and from towards his parents, right?
Yeah.
This is a child who doesn't have that necessarily.
This was a good TLDR right there. Too long didn't read, too long didn't listen. That right there. This child didn't have, it sounds like, any violent ideation.
Chat. Why do you think she's saying that the child had no violent ideation? It's not social violence. It's the real deal. He got mad because he wanted to play his video game and he got the gun instead and shot the man that said, "You can't have your video game." That definitely classifies as violent ideation, Wawin. I promise, Lauren. I promise you, honey. That is the very definition of violent ideation. And I know, Lauren, when you're drunker and Cooter Brown, math is hard.
With Botox so tight, you look like a dream, but your skin's so thin, it's like tissue paper. One wrong word and poof, you're a vapor.
All right. It is so clear to me that I'm going to have to write a song about Cooter Brown. You know what I mean?
Violent ideation is what most criminals share, or lack of empathy. That doesn't seem to be the issue here.
It is exactly the issue, Wawin. There was not only violent ideation, there was violent behavior, Lauren. So what are you talking about? It makes no sense. Your TLDR, TLDW didn't listen too long, that Lauren didn't drink. That didn't make sense. And saying that little Clayton there was no evidence of violent ideation is categorically absurd. You got to give it up, girl. You got to get rid of the vino. Yeah, you're gonna have to make a choice. Benzos or vino, can't have both. It gets too messy. Messy.
And now he's in the system.
Right.
And so
Yeah, and I think
freaking sad.
this
That is
article,
so friggin'
you know,
sad.
good article.
That
and
never, God damn it. It's so sad. I can't. It's so sad. I think we should all, everybody, we're going to do a toast to Clayton. Come on, guy. Come on, John. We need to toast Clayton. He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
But it doesn't talk about the autism. The headline is, quote, I killed daddy. So we're not painting this 11-year-old as like a monster child.
Right.
Maybe.
Like, you know, maybe
Wait,
Abby.
whoa, Grayson. Maybe he is a monster child. He had a choice. He opened up the safe. He's 12 years old. He opened up a safe. There was his game system, and there was the gun. And instead of getting his game system and going to his room, he took the gun and shot his dad, quote, I wanted to shoot someone. So, yeah, I don't know. You guys could be completely wrong. And the reason that you may be completely wrong is because you have no idea what the truth is. You don't know any facts at all. None. The only facts you have. Okay, here's what they're basing all this on, y'all. That Clayton was an angel, and it was the irresponsible school that caused the shooting, the death of the father. Here's what they're going on. They're going on a letter written by an attorney to the school that basically said, you guys haven't done anything that we asked you to do. You have abandoned Clayton. And if Clayton is violent, if he hurts anyone, it's going to be on your head, not ours. And, you know, I have to think, since we have had parents that have been successfully prosecuted after their child committed a school shooting, maybe that was done strategically. In the event that this violent child actually carried through one day, so the parents would not be prosecuted. Did you three geniuses think about that? See, I don't even know if that's true. That is one possibility. This is a story that, because the person in question is a minor, there will be no facts. There will be no information coming out. And therefore, you guys are writing fiction. Fiction.
Blabby on Facebook was the only one who got the autism stuff. That's where I saw it. She has sources within the family and or family friends and stuff, but like now we're painting a child as a monster when there's so much more to this.
So much more to it. And, you know.
Oh, I hear glass.
Yeah,
Did y'all hear glass? Did y'all hear ice in the glass?
Right. I think it's misleading. You know, one of our jobs, I think, here at Hidden True Crime is to the best of our ability, to weigh in with evidence and facts and research, and based on that, to like present things truthfully.
Right.
Oh, that's
realistically.
rich.
Speaking of truthfully and realistically.
Yeah. Speaking of truthfully and realistically, hidden true crime, hidden truth. Yeah, that'd be, you know what? It's best to start in your own home. That's the best place to start for behavior change.
What's it like working for us, Grayson?
Hand phone.
Oh yeah, the
What's it
wine
like
is
working for Hidden True
flowing.
Crime?
Yeah.
It's great.
We've taught you about being honest, sticking to facts,
No, it's great.
evidence-based.
Oh, great. The sot, the town drunk, is preaching to Grayson about being honest and sticking to the facts. You know what, Grayson? You know what, Gray? They're getting ready to throw you under the bus. That little interjection right there, that was to let the audience know that Lauren has said, Grayson, you never should have lied about Christina. You never should have lied and told me that I had a stalker. You watch. Jolene Lunzer is going to end up being 100% right. Your days are numbered, Grayson.
Search.
No, you're like really on the spot. No, it's great. It's like hanging out with friends all day. Like really.
Yeah.
And work is just a part of life.
Work is life. Life is work.
Like for me.
Well, what is it? Are you hanging out with friends? Or are you working? You see that, John? Dueling relationships.
It's one and the same.
Yeah, that's right.
John, it's the number one reason that psychologists lose their credentials, because they make friends with people they work with and behave in exploitative ways.
Our only arguments are me saying, I don't want to work anymore. And you're like, you better work.
I'm like, no, but I want to do this.
I'm like, I just want to stop working. And then Grayson's like, get to work.
I do. I really love to work.
Okay, before this goes totally off the rails.
I think it's really sad, Grayson, that you don't have any friends. Like, work is okay. Work is good. But don't you want friends? Like, wouldn't you like to make some friends your age and go do age appropriate things? Oh, Lauren does age appropriate things with you. So Lauren acts like she's 24. Okay, I get it. You're not acting like you're 45. Lauren gets to act like she's 24. Now it begins to make sense.
I just want to get it back on track to evidence and make the point that I wanted to make for a long time now in response to all these emails and all the, like, autism does not cause violence.
Shut up. I can't. I'm sorry. Excuse my rudeness. I'm done with that.
Well, what's it like working for you? I feel like I just got like a masterclass in autism. True story. My family, because
honey, no, you did not get a master class in autism. Nope. You didn't even get close. There was very little factual information provided.
my brother, got like arrested at like 11 or whatever for hitting a door. They made us go to like family therapy. And this lady came over every Saturday morning. I remember I was like, thank God I have soccer practice on Saturday mornings. I was doing anything to get out of that. My parents would be like, you got to go get Gracie from soccer. And I'd be like, hey, you don't have to get me. I'm going home with so-and-so today. But anyways, I remember, I think her name was like Nicole or something. I don't know. It was a lot happened in those family therapy sessions. But there was like a time where she was, I don't know what the hell this lady was doing, but she was trying.
This lady would be the court-appointed therapist. John, how does that feel? Having your little sweet, making fun of your profession. You like that? Is that feeling good?
To get me to understand my brother's diagnosis, and she essentially gave me like a DSM book, and I'm like 11. She's like, well, if you read about this, you'll understand your brother's diagnosis more. I don't know if it was a DSM or what it was, but I remember
it wasn't it wasn't a DSM. No, sorry, that's not what she gave you. She probably gave you something that was written for elementary age kids to understand autism or violence in the home, would be my guess.
And being like, I'm not reading this. And then next week I handed it back to her and said, thanks.
Yeah.
And she said, did it help? I said, oh, it helped so much.
So Grayson has a long history of lying and antisocial behavior, right? Who'd have thought? Grayson's been lying to people for a long time. People in authority positions. When she was 11, she started her career as a liar when she's 11 years old, lying to the court-appointed therapist because there had been violence in the home. And now she's laughing, telling the story of when she first began lying to authority figures. And we all sat and watched her lie to law enforcement. That was on police body cam. Keep talking, Grayson.
That's probably not the intervention I would have.
It was like
you better than that, John. Are you better than that? Are you smarter? You better therapist than that? What would be? Oh, you would have sent Grayson to a wilderness camp? Is that right?
What 11-year-old's gonna sit there and read?
You're like,
What kind of 11-year-olds? A lot of them. I know a 12-year-old who attends college classes. Yeah, there's lots of 11-year-olds that actually read, Grayson. I'm sorry that you yourself did not, and I'm even more sorry that you found it to be appropriate to lie to authority figures when you were a mere babe.
Yeah.
No, so anyways, what's it like working? I just got like a master class, and what maybe somebody should have taught me at 11 would have helped me.
Like that would have helped me.
Yeah.
What would have
But
helped
then-
you? What about what he said would have been helpful to you? That would be a great follow-up live. How Grayson would have used the autism masterclass by John Matthias to help her when she was 11 years old and experiencing violence in her home. That would be a great follow-up topic.
You did mention schizophrenia. Actually, I don't know if I told you guys this. So you guys, I think I told you my dad was adopted, right? Mm-hmm. And my dad didn't know much about his biological father until like a reporter essentially found.
She just doxed her father to their entire community that old dad is adopted. You know, I think that is very intrusive. I think that's your dad's personal private information, and that he ought to be the one to make a determination whether people are going to talk about his adoptive status or not. Grayson, you had absolutely no right whatsoever to say that on a public platform. None. John, what are you going to say? Are you going to say, oh, well, let's not talk about that. Let's move past that. Are you going to do that, John? You're going to take control? You're going to get it back on the rails, John?
Like traced our family back after my biological grandpa was found dead.
Yeah. Wow.
It was a whole family tree history in another country. It was a whole crazy thing. But
Your reporter doxed your family.
Well, it sounds like
They're laughing that a reporter doxed the family? Well, I don't recall Lauren laughing in the 9-hour live when she was saying that Christina and the gals were about to dox her, right? It wasn't funny then. It's only funny when it is Grayson's family. Yikes. And John laughs, the credentialed psychologist in the room who's been through years of ethics training, who every time he re-ups his license, he has to have additional ethics training. The man who's supposed to be an expert in ethics, he laughs. This has gone now from very bad to creepy. This is now officially a creepy live, in my opinion.
they hired the reporter. I don't know.
I don't
No,
know.
the reporter did it on her own.
Oh, the reporter. What? Okay.
Yeah,
because-
she like traced back the family tree and then like.
Well, because they found somebody. They wanted
because
to know.
your dad was a prominent business guy. Is
No, so long story short, I guess everybody's gonna go find this article. Have fun. Please don't post
Thinks
my
they're
dad
all
side by side with his
drinking.
biological father. He'll never forgive me for that one. But my biological grandpa was essentially he died in a homeless encampment in
That's what it was.
Canada.
They didn't know who he was.
They didn't know who he was.
So the reporter said, "Let's go find out who this man is."
He had no family. He had nobody, and so this
This
sweet reporter.
Yeah.
Were you the reporter, Lauren? Were you the reporter, Lauren? I bet so.
Like
Wanted to give him an identity.
she wanted to get
I mean, she seems to know the story like she's the one that did it.
an identity, and she wanted to trace back his life. He was known as, his name was George. People called him Yogi, and then they called him Bunny George because he would carry bunnies around with him. And
Bunny
long story
George?
short, they get in contact with like
Bunny George is Grayson's grandfather. I feel like we should not continue this. I feel like I should not go further. Is this real? Oh, look, Chuck Anderson's granddaughter's here. Hey, girl, thank you so much. My guess is alcohol or THC has taken over. look, look at Spark of Divine Tarot. Bunny George. Bunny George is Grayson's colleague. I am dead. This is too much for me, man.
Oh, Lauren, queen of the screen. With
They
bow ties
are
so tight, you look like a dream, but
wild.
your skin's so thin, it's like tissue paper. One wrong word and poof, you're a vapor.
Oh my God.
Hey, Lauren, toes all sore and
Oh
red.
man.
From folks stepping on 'em, now you're crying in bed.
All right. So we got to hear about Bunny George. Okay, guys. Everybody get ready. This is getting very weird.
They trace back to California. They trace his family. My dad found out he has a half brother through this. And then they trace back my dad's biological mom, who my dad found when the internet first became a thing. So they traced her back and she goes, well, he has a son. We had a kid together that we gave up for adoption. So that's how this reporter connects to our family. She flew in from Canada, met the family, did a whole interview, but that was a very long way of saying that my grandpa had schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder.
Huh.
And so when you mentioned it a couple times, like could there be a link? We've always like kind of wondered with my brother.
Okay, I just want to remind everyone that Standard 3.05 warns against multiple relationships because dual relationships reduce objectivity. And when one loses objectivity as a credentialed professional, then you're incompetent. You're not making good choices. It will set up a scenario for exploitation of the member of the general public, which in this case would be Grayson and Bunny George and the adopted dad. What should happen at this point is John, as soon as he hears the word Bunny George was schizophrenic, and could that be what's wrong with my brother? That is the exact moment that a licensed psychologist will say, okay, everybody, thank you for being here. It's been fun. Talk to you later. And you disconnect the live, and then you look at Grayson and say, here is the phone number and the name to a colleague who is very well respected, and they can answer your questions for you. And you do not talk to your employee about whether or not they may or may not have schizophrenia. Because some people might think they wouldn't want a schizophrenic in the house around their 8-year-old son. Well, let's see how John deals with this. I'm looking at this and it looks like we've got another 30 minutes on this video, so he must not end the video. So let's see what happens.
Like, what caused it, right? Like, is it just genetic? Like, did it skip a generation? So, like, because my dad doesn't have it, so did it skip you know what I mean? Like, or like, also my brother was without oxygen for a little bit at birth, so that's always been like a question: did that cause brain damage? Like, we just don't know. But when you mentioned schizophrenia, it made me wonder if could there be a link between schizophrenia and autism. Does that make sense?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Now, these are the same people that were virtue signaling to hell and back about how autism in no way was related to violence. Do y'all remember that? Y'all remember that first 2 hours of this video, right? Everybody got a little virtue. Everybody got to pat themselves on the back. Now we're going to link autism to schizophrenia. Great. This great. John, this incredible.
Loaded question.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm looking at John's face. I don't think you know. Do you know?
well, I think okay. There's, again, like there is a potential link between autism and psychosis.
Oh, shit. This guy. You know, hold on a minute. I want to re-listen to this. Hold on.
Could there be a link between schizophrenia and autism? Does that make sense? Loaded question.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm looking at John's face. I don't think you know. Do you know?
well, I think okay.
What?
There's, again, like there is a potential link between autism and psychosis and violence.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, there could be, you know, when you talk about your brother and the prenatal, remember I was talking about the importance of the prenatal environment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that could be part of it. Like the lack of oxygen for a brief period there could have clearly affected brain development.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there were a combination of factors that kind of came together.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, schizophrenia has a large genetic component.
Right. Well, I was just like, my broader question was like, could my biological grandpa's diagnosis have something to do with my brother?
Sure.
I don't know, because up until that point, we really like until that article came out and that woman came and told my parents about my dad's biological dad.
You're like,
My parents were like, what caused it? Like they didn't, and then they were like, wait, maybe that, you know what I mean? Like they finally got like a little bit of information about his dad, and so that's always just been like a question we've always.
I guess you'd have to know. I want to know with your grandfather, like how severe the schizophrenia was, right?
Let's look. I have the article pulled up because I actually wanted to ask about this. His mental health problems became more pronounced around this time. Various psychiatric reports, as well as his sister, would later say that he suffered from either paranoid schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder.
Oh.
Okay.
Much of his 20s was spent in Southern California.
Listen to John's voice. John's scared. Listen, he's terrified. Listen to his voice.
Various psychiatric reports, as well as his sister, would later say that he suffered from either paranoid schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder.
Okay.
Did you hear his tone? Okay. Yeah, you now you're experiencing the effects of multiple relationships, aren't you, Johnny boy? That Grayson is telling you that genetically she is connected to either schizoaffective disorder, which is rough, or paranoid schizophrenia, which is very dangerous. And you're sitting there thinking, she lives in my house sometimes around my little kid. This is why you don't do this, John, because you now may be you may distance yourself from Grayson based on her age and the fear that maybe she'll be a danger to your child. Oh, this is messy.
Much of his 20s was spent on Southern California beaches, surfing and living what friends described as a beach bum lifestyle.
That sounds fun. That sounds
His cousin remembered him as somewhat of a black sheep who
Oh, Princess Lauren, that sounds like he was cool.
never seemed particularly driven to work.
What?
Or driven by work or family. And then cousin remembered him as somewhat of a black sheep who never seemed particularly driven to work.
What?
Or driven by work or family.
Did you hear
Friendship
that?
reports, as well as his sister, would later say that he suffered from either paranoid schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder.
Okay.
Much of his 20s was spent on Southern California beaches, surfing and living what friends described as a beach bum lifestyle.
That sounds fun. That sounds
His
kind of
cousin
She says, that sounds fun. That sounds like he was cool. And then listen.
remembered him as somewhat of a black sheep who never seemed particularly driven to work.
What?
Or
And then you hear like ruffling. And then she says, what? Do you think John kicked her under the table? Do you think John kicked her under the table and was playing charades going, get her out of here. Get Grayson out of here. Paranoid schizophrenia, not around my 9-year-old child. Dang.
driven by work or family. And then Yogi's favorite thing was surfing. The only job he ever had was a bagger at a local grocery store in Laguna. That's all he did. So Vancouver woman who became a friend and landlord of him later in life believed the onset of his mental illness, she believes schizophrenia in his early 20s, was the reason.
And now Grayson, after she goes, what? She gets up and leaves and goes to the bathroom. And she stays in the bathroom like 20 or 30 minutes. I think John kicked her under the table. Like, what are you doing? Don't say that. Sounds like it's fun. He's Buddy George.
And from his withdrawal and family in California. So
How did he end up in Canada?
You know, I think it's in this article, but this is a really long article that I've read like 10 times.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's.
So I think the answer would be yes.
He withdrew from family. And then I think
makes sense.
he ended up, his family, he's from Germany.
Okay.
And then I believe, so just after the Second World War, they immigrated to Canada, lived in Ontario, and then California. And then he was an avid surfer, a U.S. Air Force enlistee, spent time in prison and time on the street. He could be self-destruct. His journey was made more difficult by mental health issues. He could be self-destructive and violent, but also gentle and compassionate, particularly to the wild rabbits he caught and cared for. And more than any other pursuit or group of humans, became part of his persona.
So he was taming wild rabbits. Bunny George was able to catch wild rabbits and tame them into pets. That sounds like schizoaffective.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you scared, John? Are you feeling a little nervous? Not quite so cozy in that friendship with your sweetie sweet, are you? Huh? Not feeling all secure and like you're the important big man on campus, not feeling all good and secure anymore, right? Because now you have collected an employee's protected health information of her family, as well as her own medical history that suggests she could be in danger of developing a psychosis. And your son is in the house with her. Uh-oh. This is an inconvenient truth, isn't it? It's almost like there's a reason for the APA Code of Ethics and the warning against multiple relationships. You had no right to collect her medical history. It is. This is incredible, really.
Dr. John, the wine machine. 60 going on 16, forever stuck in between. Mood swings wilder than the Joker on a joyride. Tears flowing faster than his Lauren's goodbye to court. He whimpers like a golden retriever in therapy. I'm the dark knight of night sweats, but nobody buys it. 5 years old, they eated him down I-95 like like a human bowling ball with terrible form. Strike, spare, gutter snipe, asphalt gave him the world's worst exfoliation. Left him tumbling, screaming, "Mommy, my cape." From that day on, life's been one long pathetic roll.
All right. That is Dr. John's song.
So yeah, I think
Ah.
there could be some relationship.
I wonder. I mean, I guess there wouldn't be a way for me to like ever get those records, would there? It would be interesting.
Well, who diagnosed him?
You're asking the wrong person. I'm just reading an article on my grandpa that I've never met.
Do you guys hear the fear in this man's voice? That's fear. Listen.
Particularly to the wild rabbits he caught and cared for, and more than any other pursuit. I mean, I guess there wouldn't be a way for me to like ever get those records, would there? It would be interesting.
Well, who diagnosed him?
John, you are a professional psychologist, sir. Why are you suddenly scared of Grayson? Huh? Oh, yeah. He's having an awakening. He's having an awakening. He's going, okay, I now have some medical history, some family history of Grayson. Given her particular age, given some of what I've seen that I thought was good old-fashioned anxiety, what are we going to be dealing with here in the next year or two? And I can't have this young woman staying at my house anymore around my son. That's it. You hear the hesitancy, you hear the awakening as he's working through this developing realization. This is bad. This is so bad.
You're asking the wrong person. I'm just reading an article on my grandpa that I've never met.
You might be able to get him if he's deceased. I think.
I don't know. It would be interesting to see how bad it was.
Hey, professional psychologist, Dr. Oz, or I'm sorry, the Wizard of Oz. Did you just say that if Bunny George is dead, then Grayson can get his medical records? You just said that, didn't you? Let me listen to that again.
Him?
You're asking the wrong person. I'm just reading an article on my grandpa that I've never met.
You might be able to get him if he's deceased. I think.
I don't know. It would be interesting.
If he's deceased, John says, then Grayson can get Bunny George's medical records. That's the wrong answer, John. Yeah, wrong answer. No, that is not true. The HIPAA protections stay in place upon death. They must be maintained and kept confidential for 50 years. The attending physician or provider can have access to them. And if somebody was in charge of his legal needs, they might be able to give permission, though that would be a very rare occurrence. That would not be something that I can think of a reason. Maybe legal, maybe for like a police investigation, maybe. No. John, again, we've uncovered more information that you just don't know. No. HIPAA does not, FERPA does not end when you die. Absolutely not. Your health records are private, even when you die, for 50 years. 50 years. John, you need some continuing education, big guy. You got that re-up coming, don't you? Yeah, December. 2026, December 31st, 2026. You need to be taking some continuing education hours, a lot of them from the sound of it.
To see how bad it was.
Sounds like it was pretty bad if it was paranoid schizophrenia.
Yeah, John,
and
that
then
is bad.
I know he didn't talk to his family at all because I believe at one point my dad contacted his sister and his sister just said, you don't want to know him. He's a bad guy. And that was it. And my dad was just like, okay. And then.
Yeah, John, that DNA is sitting across the table from you right now. Bunny George's DNA is right there, under the same roof as your child. And your wife is in the bathroom because you kicked her in the shin, I think, when she said it'd be fun to be a beach bum. You didn't like that.
Never really knew anything else until nobody really ever, it was like kind of just like nobody talked. And my dad was just kind of like, I don't really want to open that can of worms.
Yeah.
A few weeks
and
ago,
so it was never
Nancy,
really a thing until this reporter brought down all this information that nobody had ever known about him.
Right.
Like all of a sudden my dad like learned everything.
Yeah,
or I guess what he could learn.
How old was your dad when he learned all that? Do you remember?
I think it was back in like 2014. Like I
just out of curiosity, John Matthias, why does it matter when her father learned about Bunny George? Like, why does it matter? Why would you even ask this woman that question? Are you like, did you forget that the live was rolling? Did you forget that you operate a channel based on your credentials and you're acting in the form of psychologist right now? Did you just forget all that? This Patreon aired on January the 15th, 2026. So it's literally 9 days ago.
I remember being in middle school when it happened.
And so your dad really had no idea of who his father was.
He knew his name, and like my grandma would like occasionally say like a thing or two, but really no.
Okay.
Like my grandma and him got married. They had my dad, they put him up for adoption at birth. And that was it. And then my grandma always hoped that she would talk to him again, but then, you know, which did end up happening because there was a name mishap. They were supposed to change the name on the birth certificate because it was a closed adoption and the doctor didn't do it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So that's how my dad found his mom. And then so she would say like a little bit about him, but she never really talked much. Short marriage. And then, you know, so my dad just didn't know anything. So when he found out about like all the schizophrenia and stuff like that, it led to a lot of questions within our family of like, could this be partially where the mental health issues come in?
Do you think your brother may have had schizophrenia?
We wondered for a little bit.
This is shockingly inappropriate. This is in the way that the questions that he is asking Grayson is unbelievable. This is unbelievable, y'all. This would be a nightmare if the licensing board got a hold of this recording.
But no, I don't think so now. But like, I think when he was like 18, we did wonder for a little bit. Like it was rough. Right around that time, it was really rough. Luckily, I think he's stabled out since then. But yeah, it was.
And talking about someone, a brother, a family member who's not there to give consent. The dad is having his private personal business, his legal reality of being adopted is being treated as gossip, as content for money. I'm really, you know, I do laugh a lot and, you know, try to have fun. This is too much. This is just, I feel, this is very bad. I almost feel just, wow, this is what not to do, people. This is not what you do. That you end it. You Okay, I don't really know where rest of this is going. Here's what I'm going to do because I am very uncomfortable with this now. Copy. Okay, I'm going to give to you. This is the link. Paste. Okay, this is the link to the Patreon interview without commentary. It's just the plain old link. It's just the plain old recording. Okay. I'm going to give that to you because this is taking a turn now that what they're talking about, the questions that he's asking, it's really taken a turn that I don't want that on my channel. I don't know. I don't want that on my channel. So I'm probably going to take this video down and I'm probably going to edit some of this out. I may just take the whole video down. This got so bad so fast. Good God. So you have the link to the video, the interview, if you want to go watch it. I understand that. I don't want to be rude to y'all, but yikes, this is not okay. This is just simply not okay on any level. It's not even okay for me to put this on my channel. This part about the dad and this got too much. This was too much. This was too bad. It's just wrong. So, the first part of the video, like the first 3/4 of the video that we've been talking about, was absolutely appropriate, and we provided educational factors linked to certain things that happened in the video. And I've reiterated multiple times that we're talking about standard 3.05, multiple relationships, why they are problematic, that they are the number one reason for psychologists to lose their licensing, and how John could have ethically handled that situation. But now that the story about Bunny George and the fact that he's catching wild rabbits and training them, that's kind of sweet, right? That's not exploitative. He had mental illness, but there was also something sort of redeeming about the story. This is exploitative of the dad. This is nope, that he doesn't have a right to ask these questions, to gather this information. There's no professional context that he would be gathering that information, nor any that I would play it on my channel. So I'm going to call it here, I think. So I'm sorry. I don't want to make you guys mad. So you have the link if you want to go finish listening to it. But I don't think I feel good about this. So this took a really bad turn. Okay. So you guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. I hope that you have a great, warm, cozy blanket to stay warm during this whole, winter ice snow event. And, we'll find something else to come back and talk about and have some fun. And yuck, I'm just sorry that this got so weird and so bad. Okay, see you guys later. We'll end with our favorite song.
Oh, Lauren, queen of the screen. With Botox so tight, you look like a dream. But your skin's so thin, it's like tissue paper. One wrong word and poof, you're a vapor. Hey, Lauren, toes all sore and red. From folks stepping on them, now you're crying in bed. People are mean, you wail through the night. But you swing at victims' kin, what a sight. From YouTube throne, Queen Lauren's so grand. Now cast to the peasants with pitchforks in hand. You dish out the drama, true crime with flair. But cross your highness, oh beware. Family members grieving, you pounce like a cat. the true crime wave. Subs in the millions, oh what a rave. But thin skin and sore toes led to your fall. Now you're scrolling comments, ignored by all. Peasant life calls with no royal decree. Just Botox bills and reality TV. Hey Lauren, Lauren, pack up your crown. The kingdom's evicting, you're heading downtown. Toes still aching, tears on your sheets. But hey, next adventure, true crime on the street. From queen to the fields with the mud and the muck. Lauren, oh Lauren, next time, better luck. Apologize, Lauren, to victims of our